Hi friends, Dean here with Escape to Cinema. I haven't done one of these in a long time. I spend all my time talking about games, and I rarely ever talk about one of my other favorite loves, which is film or movies. And I've been collecting movies for many years. I mean, I have the John Hancock, the equivalent of what he has in a game collection I've got in movies. I've got over 5,000 films, from movies to TV shows and box sets, on VHS, on DVD, and on Blu-ray, and also on 3D Blu-ray. I haven't gone in for the, get around this trash truck here, I haven't gone in for the 4K Blu-rays yet because I've invested too much in the 1080p ones, and I'm just tired. I mean, I've gone over the years. Just to give you a little rundown, I'm actually on my way to go pick up the new 2018 Predator movie, which is coming out today. I'm on my way to Best Buy. They're going to be open soon, about 10 a.m. And I'm going to get there when they open and try to snag one of them. Usually I think they have their movies are on a discount the first week out. I've got a $25 gift card for Best Buy, which I got when I got my GoPro before we went to Hawaii. I bought the GoPro and I bought all the accessories and SD cards and handles and stuff to go with it. So they gave me a $25 gift card, and I've been sitting on this thing forever because it's like nothing to buy. I mean, God, I used to live every Friday. I'd go down to Best Buy and I'd live to like buy new movies or DVDs every week. I'd buy 3 or 4 DVDs a week before Blu-rays even came out. But back then, there were good movies worth buying that Hollywood was making. There's just so few films. I mean, the last couple newer movies that I've bought are, let's see, I think I got Mad Max Fury Road. I got the King Kong Skull Island movie. And I picked out a couple. I think the Godzilla film, not very many movies. I mean, it's rare that I come across a movie that's even worth having in my collection. Now, my wife and I, we pay for Netflix like $20 a month. We get, the unlimited streaming, obviously. And then you have, we can rent up to 1 Blu-ray at a time. And that works perfect for us. So if it's a movie that's a new film coming out, we'll usually rent it. I think Alien Covenant. I don't remember. I don't think I saw Prometheus at the theater, but that was one of the last of those movies I saw. I was kind of disappointed with it, as many other people were, although I did like it. And so I think Alien Covenant was a good example. I think I just rented the Blu-ray. It shows up, we watch it, and then at that point I decide, okay, is this worth something I'll ever see again? I probably will buy the Alien Covenant movie. There's so many things about it that drive me crazy. But it had some things that I did like in the film, some interesting visual concepts, and Ridley Scott did have his hand in it. But it's just, I'm getting so discouraged, and it's like, Shane Black with this new Predator movie. We saw it, that's the last film that I saw at the theater. And my God, it was just, many aspects of it I liked, I thought were quite enjoyable. Because I was there in '87 and saw the very first one, and I went back the next day and saw it again, and then the following weekend and saw it again. I must have saw that movie at least 5 or 6 times at the theater. I dragged my dad to see it. I took my old business partner at the time, John. We went to go see it and loved it, and went back to see it this next day with our wives. And they made so many great movies then, and it's so disappointing to see the films today that have so much potential. They certainly have the technology for the special effects. They technically could do the writing, but there's a lazy writing. I don't know if it's 20th Century Fox doesn't give people ample time, or there's no incentive. I don't know what it is, but there really is not that many good movies. And I mean, I can count on one hand per year how many films are even worth watching, let alone owning in a collection. So a movie like, this Predator movie, was one I enjoyed. I said, I will watch that again. If that's my criteria for buying any film, on either DVD or on Blu-ray. I'm going to turn this heat down. It's getting really hot in here. If it's something that I can see myself realistically enjoying and watching a second or third time, I'll buy it. I won't hesitate. Sometimes I'll wait until it's, cheaper on sale, but if it's a film I really like Fury Road, I'll buy that sucker day one. Now, I did like the Predator movie. I really need to see it again. There's some things I liked about it and some things that I didn't. That's a separate video. I could do a whole review on that movie and what I liked and what I didn't like on it. It did have a lot of potential. And there are things that are very enjoyable in it. There's a new Overlord film, which I've seen some trailers of, and I've seen a couple movie reviews just out of curiosity on it. And that looks good to me. I can see where it's, some people say it's too much of a World War II movie and not enough horror. It's too much horror, can't decide what it wants to be. So I don't mind films that have that nuance, that are kind of in between. I think that's clever. It can be interesting. I'm certainly intrigued with that one. That's one that I probably will just buy. I'm not even going to see it at the theater, but I'm going to wait, and the day it comes out on Blu-ray, I'll probably buy that one because it looks like my kind of film. It's a Wolfenstein, clone, basically, the story and characters and all that, which is pretty intriguing. But this Predator movie looks good, and I told my wife, I said, this is when I'm going to take that gift card and I'm going to go buy that because I really would like to see it. I was hoping that they'd have it in 3D. Now, I do have the first one in 3D Blu-ray, and my God, they did a beautiful job remastering that and converting it over to 3D. It looks really good. And on my TV, I've got a really high-end 3D 4K HDR TV. It looks fantastic. But I'm just not at the point where I'm going to start investing in rebuying all these films in 4K, Ultra HDs. It's just, I got too much money. When I was younger, I was careless with my money, and in a way I'm glad I was, because that's why I've got between $76,000 and $80,000 at least in my movie collection. That sounds like a lot, and it is, but that's back when DVDs were $20-$25 brand new, and I bought them all day one. I bought, not every movie that came out, but I bought a lot of movies. And I have a pretty wide array of taste in films, from old classics, I just watched White Christmas with Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby the other night when my father came over to visit. We saw that on Netflix, and I hadn't seen that in years. And it was a great movie, It reminds me of when Hollywood could make great films, And I've got many other ones that I'm looking forward to watching at Christmas. I usually will grab a handful and take them over to my mother-in-law's or show them, or watch them here in town with my family. And I just love movies. And unlike my game collection, where I haven't played through or finished every game, I have played and watched every single movie in my movie collection, with few exceptions. If it's a Blu-ray that I have not watched, it's only because I probably recently just saw it on DVD that same year, and I'm in no hurry to see it again, but I wanted to upgrade and just have it, in my collection. Sometimes I'll be looking at Blu-rays and they'll have a sale, get two, get one free, or there'll be some used ones for $4, $5, $8 each, and it's like, oh wow, I just saw this last year, but I'll go ahead and pick it up because I know I'm going to watch this again. That's a good price. So that's kind of my I guess prerequisite for buying my Blu-rays. Is that it's going to be a film that I really like. I'm happy with DVDs. I was able to watch True Lies and The Abyss, which I have both special edition DVDs of, and I have a really nice high-end Sony Blu-ray player which upscales beautifully. It makes DVDs look like Blu-rays. It makes Blu-rays look almost like Ultra HD ones. It's a fantastic, probably a similar gimmick to what they have with the PS4 Pro. It works really well. I've never seen regular DVDs look as good as they do, and it's very impressive. And so I'm pretty happy with the DVDs, believe it or not. As as a visual person, I naturally like the really high fidelity of having these, having Blu-rays over DVD. But I can't afford to buy overnight every single film. I was shocked. I went through all my VHS films recently, and I couldn't believe how many films that I haven't even seen on. Or movies that I have in my VHS collection that I haven't even upgraded to DVD yet. Now, but believe it or not, there are many films that you can't even get on Blu-ray that are on DVD, as well as the fact that there's a lot of movies shit, I'm gonna have to get over here pretty soon. There's a lot of movies, on DVD that aren't on Blu-ray, and there's many VHS films I have that have never even made it to DVD, let alone Blu-ray. So it tells you that there's still, and that's why I'm afraid with physical media on its way out. I'm like, I hope to God they're going to make movies like The Keep that Michael Mann did, at least on DVD or Blu-ray, before it's too late. I want to see those films, and that's why I took the time to clean out my VCR and go through it and thoroughly take it apart and clean the whole insides of it and clean all of the pins and rollers and the VHS head and everything with rubbing alcohol to clean everything up so it'll last a while longer. In fact, I need to get a backup because I've got a tremendous amount of rare movies, especially old World War II films and films from the 40s and 50s that you can't even get that I know of on DVD. So I've invested a lot. I mean, I had VHS tapes I bought, and then they'd come out with a widescreen VHS tapes or special edition VHS. Then I'd buy those, and then they came out with DVDs, and I'd buy those, and I'd rebuy this. So a movie like The Predator I've probably bought 5 or 6 times, let alone Star Wars. I had the original Star Wars tapes. I think I might even still have them, the ones before Lucas made the changes. I personally like the changes. It doesn't bother me at all, but some people get all wound up on the changes he made. But I saw those movies so many times without the changes that I was kind of ready for something new by the time they refined the special effects. That's why I like them, just because of the improved, cleaned up special effects. That's really the only reason why I like those. There are some things in them they could have done without, but I'm not going to split hairs over it. I'm pretty happy with it either way. Let me see where I can park here. I'm going to park over here. Got the Challenger out today. I thought I haven't driven this thing. I got to drive it to charge the battery up. We find it's been sitting for over a month, and I finally took it out last weekend with my wife. We took her car in to have it serviced, and I thought I'd put some miles in this thing and drive it. So I'm just waiting for Best Buy to open right now. Let me shut this off. It looks like they've probably just opened. So I'm going to go inside and buy this Predator movie, and then I'm going to finish this little rant when I get back. I'll be back in a minute. Let me pick up my gift card here. Glad I've been saving this bad boy. Now that money's tight, this is going to really come in handy. So it's $25. This should more than pay for the $20 movie with tax and everything. So I'll be out in a minute. All right. So now I'm back inside. They just opened. They have tons of them. I could have got a steel case for a little bit more money for another $10, but I just got the regular Blu-ray. It's all I'm interested in. Great to have it. What's interesting is that my when I first started collecting my Blu-rays, the very first movie that I bought, or movies, is I bought all 3 Predator movies: Predator, Predator 2, and Predators. So, and I've been waiting to do a Blu-ray collection video for some time. I think I did one, God, years ago when it was just a tiny collection. Now I've got a pretty robust collection. I'm pretty happy with it. Not that I'm by any means done or near done, but I'm at a good stopping point, frankly. So, I thought it'd be fitting, since I started with the Predator movies, and then I'd wait until I got this last one and then do my collection video. I thought that would be a good way to bookmark or bookend my collection. It's been a fun process. Like I said, I've had my games I've sold over the years. Now what I have done is I've given away, like when I buy, a film on DVD to replace my VHS one, I usually give my VHS ones, I give them to my dad back, years ago, back in the 90s or late 90s, 2000s, or to relatives, to friends, whatever. There's no money, frankly, in the VHS things anymore. I've got tons of them. I've got a whole box set aside I went through recently that I have replaced on DVD. Now, last year, I went through my list of VHS, and I started to make a physical list, and I've been slowly chipping away, and at the very least, just getting them at least on DVD. because the day is going to come where physical media is going to be really, it's probably going to go away, and there'll always be the residual, movies that have already been printed. But already I'm finding, like, I just got Fire in the Sky with D.B. Sweeney and I can't remember, Patrick, what's his name, Robertson, a couple good actors. It's got some good actors. It came out in the early 90s, a movie about a guy that was abducted, by an alien, kind of based on a true story in Arizona. Real interesting movie. God, I hadn't seen it in so long. Well, that movie's out of print. You can't get it on Blu-ray, and you're sure you can't even get it on DVD. So what I do is I have my Dimples put it on a locator, and if one comes in now or 9 months from now at any of the Dimple stores, they give me a call, they hold it for me, and it's mine. And I've done that with quite a few films. So I already have a list of probably 5 or 6 movies that they've got on their locator, presently right now. But it's getting to the point to where I'm concerned. I mean, there's a lot of films that you can't even get anymore, even on DVD. They're completely gone or out of print. And I find that it's getting tough to find them, and some of them are getting expensive. I've got Escape from New York. I got a special several disc, edition on DVD box set with tons of behind the scenes stuff. It's really a great deal. But I also have the upgraded, Shout Factory or whatever it is, the remastered one on Blu-ray as well. So some I'll keep one of each, but typically once I get the same movie on Blu-ray and I have it on DVD, I usually give that DVD away. I give my friend Steve Baker, I've given a whole bunch of movies to as I upgrade. In fact, I haven't even upgraded it yet, but I gave him my Godfather box set as a gift for helping me with my Xbox, because I know that he had wanted that box set, and I was happy to give it to him. And I haven't even done it, but eventually I'll buy that, I'll upgrade that, and I'll get that box set on Blu-ray, So, and I have a list. I have a master list like I do with my video game collection of all the games and all the movies that I want to buy. I have a list of DVDs, I have a list of Blu-rays, the ones I'm committed to. Again, I don't feel the need to have every movie on Blu-ray. I mean, I have Fargo and, and the Big Lebowski. I've got a special edition DVDs of those. It's usually films like comedies. I don't lose sleep over if it's not the greatest quality. You know what I mean? I got Dr. Detroit and the Blues Brothers and Neighbors, with Belushi and Aykroyd. A lot of those movies I have on DVD, and I'm fine with those. I mean, the films that I like to get on like a really high quality format, like on Blu-ray, or like Apocalypse Now, the Alien, anthology, which I have. Movies like the Blade Runner, stuff like that. If The Abyss ever comes out on DVD, I certainly get that. Now I've got Titanic. I've got the new remastered 3D version of that, and my God, does it look good! It looks so good. I've got a pretty good head start on my Blu-ray collection. As far as the 3D ones, I'm real happy with what I have so far. There's only so many. Sadly, it's kind of a passé thing. I think they're going to stop making them, which is really tragic. Like, you can get I think they have a UK version of the Terminator 2, but you can't get the movie here in the States in 3D, but I think you can get it there. So I got to research and see if I get the UK one, will it play on the American Blu-ray players from North America? I'm not sure. It'll be something I'll have to find out. But it's going to be interesting anyway to see what the future is going to hold with physical media. I'm going to try to next year. I made a really good chip in my movie collection this year, and I want to wrap it up as fast as I can in the years ahead here. I really do, before it's too late. I'm making really good strides. I gotta jump over here one more lane. So here we go. Beautiful day for a drive. So nice to get out of the house. I've been kind of cooped up in the house. Been kind of rainy lately. I'm getting ready for Christmas, and I wanted to make one more video. I've kind of done most of the rants that I've had on my mind lately, And the one thing that's been kind of nagging me is doing this Blu-ray collection video. So I said, well, this would be a perfect opportunity to at least film going and talking about my collection, talk about what I'm looking forward to, and then I'll show my collection when I get back home here. And I know many of you are into movies and Blu-rays and enjoy the process of collecting movies because it's wonderful. It's like a time capsule. You can watch these old movies and it takes you back to the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 60s, the 2000s, whatever the age is. And that's something that is very magical. I love movies, and I've seen every single film that I have in my collection, many of them several times, because it means that much to me. I just love film. I love collecting history. And it's sad to me that we cannot make good movies today. Now, there are some little independent films that are quite good, and I enjoy them. We watch a lot of those on Netflix. Like there's a movie that's called, I think it's called Nebraska, with Bruce Dern and some other actors. I can't remember their names, but it's a great film. I was just telling my dad about that one. I know he'd get a kick out of it. And that's one that I'll probably buy. I'll look, and that one, even though it's in black and white, I would like to get that in Blu-ray because visually it's a beautiful film. So movies like that I really like. I love a good drama, and they don't make dramas. There's no money in it. It's all these comic book hero things, which I absolutely just cannot stand. Now, I do like the first and the second Iron Man movie. I was surprised. They were fairly good. I have all three of the Batman Begins trilogy there. I can't remember the guy's name. Christopher Nolan did. I've got all those. Those I just have on DVD. I don't even have those on Blu-ray. But, I like Batman. Batman's one of the only comics I like. I'm not into... I have the Superman movies on VHS, but I frankly will never even... I'm not a big Superman fan. I'll never upgrade those even to DVD. I just don't care. Spider-Man, the same thing. I'm not into Spider-Man. So, to me, it's lost. All of these Avengers things and Marvel things and the Wolfman or Werewolf or whatever it is, all that stuff, I can't get into. I do like the Godzilla movies, the monster movies, and King Kong movies and stuff like that. I love those. Any sci-fi things I usually like. I like some horror. It has to have some redeeming quality. I don't like slasher, vacuous, like Rob Zombie movies were killing just for the sake of killing. Although the first Halloween was really good, but the second one had like no redeeming quality. It's just like senseless murdering for the sake of sensational murdering. I'm just not into those kind of films. When I was younger, I loved them, and now I've just kind of outgrown that, and I don't care for that kind of thing. I really prefer like movies like The Shining. It's more of an intellectual horror. I far prefer, or the first Alien movie. To me, that's a real horror movie. I was there, in '79 when that was at the theater in 70 millimeter widescreen and Dolby Surround, and man, was it something else when a fourth of the theater got up and walked out because it was just too intense. They'd never seen anything like it. I'll never forget experiences like that, or watching the first Star Wars movie in 1977. You can't put a price on that. I feel sorry for people that have never were able to see that movie when it was new and no one even knew if it was going to be good or not. We'll never see those days again. Mad Max Fury Road is the last time that I've seen that kind of a dynamic of a film that really wow, that was incredible. And I had to go right back and see it again because it was so damn good. In fact, my dad hasn't even seen the Mad Max movie. He's really... To him, if it doesn't have Mel Gibson, he doesn't want to see. He goes, no Mel, no Max. He goes, I said, Dad, it's done by George Miller. It's really good. But anyway, I'm going to take this inside. I'm in the garage. It's pretty dark in here. But I'll take it inside and I'll show you my collection video. So thanks for watching. So now for my collection video of my Blu-rays. It's kind of tough to know where to start. They're in no particular order. They're kind of grouped loosely by genre. But since I pulled them out of the big drawers that I have, they're kind of mixed up, so who knows. But I'll try to get through them as quickly as I can. Believe me, I'd love to take the time to kind of describe why each and every one is my favorite and why they're in my collection, but we'd be here for 3.5 hours. So I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as I can. I'll start off with a couple kind of TV Blu-ray box sets, which I don't have a whole lot of, but I have some of my favorites. I got the new Batman finally, on Blu-ray. And it comes with the first 3 seasons. Great behind-the-scenes stuff. My God, they look like they were made yesterday. Big part of my childhood, I had to have those. Naturally, I had to have the original Star Trek, the original series. I might get the Next Generation. I'm not a big fan of them. I watched the first 1 or 2 seasons when they first came on TV. I couldn't get into the holodeck thing. It's like, why go into space when you just trip out in the holodeck? But anyway, I'm happy to have these. I bought this so many times. I gave my other ones to a friend, my DVDs of these, which took me years to collect. But for the money, my God, this is a great investment. They've never looked better. Wonderful series, original Star Treks. And I also have Miami Vice, which I also bought lovingly. Each of the seasons at $60 per season on DVD. I gave those to a friend, and now I've got the Blu-rays, which look absolutely amazing. A must-have for me. I'm a big Miami Vice fan. I even had a Miami Vice license plate back in the 80s on my 1985 Shelby Charger. Anyway, I was talking about, DVDs, and one of the reasons why I'm collecting Blu-rays because I love the visual quality. Sadly, it's very limited. Even though there's a tremendous amount that you can buy, that's very limited. Many, many movies, they didn't even make for DVD, let alone for Blu-ray. In fact, I've got this recently is an out-of-print movie, Fire in the Sky, which I was talking about when I was driving to the store and back to get my movie. And this is out of print. I had waited months to get this for one of these to come in. So this may never make it to Blu-ray. This is one of the reasons why I collect DVDs, VHS, and Blu-rays. So anyway, so I'll start off here in the beginning, no particular order. One of my favorite movies right off the top, one of my top 10 favorites is the movie Thief from Michael Mann. This is a special Criterion edition. God, it's never looked better. This is kind of the movie that inspired him for the Heat movie. It's a very similar story, but kind of like a mini story with just one man, where Heat's about several people in a much larger chunk of time, but a wonderful film, highly recommended. Beautiful behind-the-scenes things with this, commentaries and everything, wonderful. The Heat movie, naturally, this is one of the first Blu-rays that I had to have. You can get it dirt cheap today. So good. I love the commentaries by Michael Mann. I actually like the Miami Vice movie. By the way, most of these films I've seen at the theater multiple times. I saw this at the theater only once. Now, I personally liked it. Not everyone likes it, but it's still a great movie. It's got that Michael Mann style. I would have preferred Don Johnson, the original cast, but I saw he was trying to do a modern retelling of the story, and I thought it turned out nice. Manhunter, I saw at the Grauman's Chinese Theater the night it came out in Hollywood. Wow, it looked so good. It was incredible to see it for the first time in 1986. I'll never forget it. One of the best films I've seen at that classic theater. Wonderful movie by Michael Mann. The Town, which is kind of related to the Heat movie. What's his name? Ben Affleck, I guess, directed it and did it. Not a bad film about a bunch of hooligans in Boston that rip off banks and armored cars and shit. Very cool, kind of like the Heat movie. Die Hard. Now I know they have a box set. I'm not really big on. I like the first two, which I have. These are, to me, really all you need. The third one I might get. The other ones, we'll see. I think I have the third one on VHS. I don't even know if I'm going to upgrade it to DVD. Commando, God, I saw this like 6 times at the theater. So cool. I'm a huge Arnie fan. A wonderful film. I got to drive his Hummer and work on his Hummer and got to see him in person, even drive up to his estate in Brentwood when the Hummer broke down. I had to bring a part up there for his mechanic to fix it. Very cool guy. Love the guy. Very influential. They just don't make movies like this anymore. Blue Thunder with Roy Scheider. Wow, I saw this at the theater the day it came out multiple times. Went back like another 2 or 3 times to see it. Fantastic. You can see by all the smog in LA at the time, it used to be terrible. When I lived there, it was very smoggy. Today, the air actually is pretty clean, but wonderful film. Sabotage. Now, I saw this at the theater a few years back when it came out, 2014, 13, somewhere in there. This was a good film. I was really surprised. Really good performances. Some interesting little twist in it. A great film. I'd highly recommend it. I got the Bronson collection. This is the Death Wish movies. And it's Death Wish 2, 3, and 4. And then I have the original Death Wish as well. So I have all of the original Death Wish films. Now recently we saw, finally, via Netflix, the new Death Wish with Bruce Willis. And it looks good. Now that one I definitely will be buying on Blu-ray. I was really impressed with that. That's one of the rare times where they can take an older movie, make it into a new one, and it comes out good. Clint Eastwood, Play Misty for Me. My God, this is one of the best thrillers and dramas. A movie called Fatal Attraction with Michael Douglas came out years later. It's a retelling of this, basically. It's the same movie. This one's even better, I think. This is a masterpiece. Beautifully done, beautiful cinematography. Clint Eastwood really got off to a great start making this movie. Speaks volumes about him. Some more Clint Eastwood movies, Kelly's Heroes and Where Eagles Dare. Two wonderful films. Where Eagles Dare is some of the scenes out of Wolfenstein Return to Castle are clearly influenced by that movie. Wonderful. This is a great double feature on Blu-ray. Some more Eastwood films. I got Dirty Harry, Magnum Force, The Enforcer, and Sudden Impact. What can I say? I'm a huge fan. We're 90 minutes from San Francisco. I know all the locations where it was filmed. I'm a huge fan. The Warriors. Now this was a wonderful, I already had this on special edition on DVD, but one of my good friends in the UK sent me this, and it's a wonderful, thank you so much. It's wonderful. It comes in a nice steel case too. The Warriors, you know, a fantastic film. I've seen it so many times. Now this one, ironically, was one of the few films, classics I had that I didn't see at the theater. I missed it. At the time, my dad kicked me out of the house, and I was in the flux, and I wasn't seeing movies for about a year, and that's when that happened, when it came out. But I saw it years later, and then loved it. The Mechanic, fantastic film. I prefer the original with Charles Bronson, but this one's really good. I'm surprised. One of the few times where a remake is not bad. Pretty good. Cliffhanger with Stallone. I love the film. I saw this repeatedly when it came out. I'm a huge Stallone fan as well. It's a good film. Great behind-the-scenes stuff. These Blu-rays are wonderful with the commentaries and all the extras. The movie The Deep. Man, I saw this the day it came out. Jacqueline Bisset, it looked really good in this, along with Nick Nolte. Did a beautiful job, beautiful cinematography, a lot of underwater photography, very well done. They've yet to make a good movie like this today. We just don't make good films anymore, sadly. Act of Valor. Now this one my wife bought me a couple years ago for my birthday, and I saw this on DVD when I rented it on Netflix, but I've yet to watch this particular Blu-ray. It's one of the few Blu-rays that I haven't seen that I have, but it's a great film. Great action, very realistic. I get Vinny right here. Hi, bud. Hi, bud. He's so good. Good boy. Okay, go lay down, bud. I have the Rambo movies. Okay, this is the new Rambo, and here's First Blood. I get First Blood. I've got the Rambo 2 and 3, and then I've got the Stallone Rambo, that newer one, which is actually pretty good, really violent. So I've got all the Rambo movies. I had to have these. This is one of these things where I was shocked I didn't even have them on DVD. I still had the VHS box set. So I was thrilled to upgrade those, at least on Blu-ray. Rampart, a really good Woody Harrelson film, really good, kind of that whole tough LA cops, which I was during the LA riots was there and saw a lot of the cops kind of making their own roles. I could see that firsthand at the time. It's a great movie. It kind of has a lot of that dynamics in it. This is one of the few Bond films, if maybe the only one I have, is a 007 Skyfall. One of my plans is to get the 50 Years of Bond box set on Blu-ray, which I'd love to have. This is a great film. Really good. Tombstone, what can I say? An outstanding film. God, I've seen it so many times. I saw it at the theater like 3 times. I kept going back. It was so good. Wonderful film. I'm not a big Western fan, but that one's done good. Twister, I got this about a year or so ago. It's such a classic film. You know, it was another one on VHS. I never even upgraded the DVD, so I had to have this. Some of these you can get at Walmart for like $5 a piece. They're so cheap. Hunt for Red October. Man, this was a fantastic film at the theater. I'll never forget that the opening night I saw this. I had no idea what it was going to be about. I love submarine movies. This didn't disappoint. Many of you love it as well. Das Boot. I sat through the theater not once but twice to see this with subtitles. This is a special 4-hour edition with all the director's cut behind the scenes. I started to go about 2 hours into the commentary and I passed out. I fell asleep late at night. I want to finish the commentary on this. Really a good movie. Outstanding. Kind of from the Germans' perspective of World War II. Apocalypse Now. And like I mentioned in my driving rant earlier, it's movies like this that you have to have these kind of quality films on Blu-ray because they look so good. They're so impressive. This was an incredible experience at the theater. I'll never forget. This is one of those special, just wonderful theater experiences that I saw when it first came out. It was so impressive. Never forget it. The Sorcerer. Now I saw this. This came out the same time Star Wars did, and that's why I got lost in translation. Friedkin redid this. This is one of those really cool digibooks where it has a lot of behind the scenes little pages and stuff. of how he made the film and the whole deal. Very good. This is highly recommended. This is a remake of an old 50s movie called The Wages of Fear in black and white, which I also have from Criterion. A must-see. This is in my top 10 movies of all time. William Friedkin is one of my favorites. We followed each other on Twitter before I get off Twitter. I'm a huge fan. I was very thrilled to have good interactions with him on Twitter over the years, but he gets so big over the years that he just, it was hard to respond to him. When he first got on, I had a good rapport with him. China Syndrome, this is a masterpiece. I saw this the day this came out, and then a week or so later they had the whole 3 Mile Island disaster, which made it very prophetic, and the ticket sales went through the roof of this. This is a beautiful time capsule of living in LA in the 70s. If you want to see what the 70s in LA was like, this movie really shows it very well. Just lots of little nuances. Live and Die in LA, my God, I've seen this at least 5 or 6 times at the theater. I used to be a huge movie-holic. I mean, I went to the movies every fucking week. Every Friday night, every Saturday I was at the movies. So I saw movies multiple times. Cobra. I saw this. Now, this was at the Chinese theater as well, which I didn't see it there. I saw this down in, I think, Riverside, California, with a friend of mine when I was visiting Riverside. But they had the actual Cobra car for 2 nights only at the Grauman's Chinese Theater right out front, where all the stars are in Hollywood Boulevard. Really a great movie. I talked to George Barris about his work on the car, too. Very cool. Body Double. This was a hard movie to find in Blu-ray. This is another one. I think it's out of print. Really hard to get, but I eventually ordered it, and it came in. I was thrilled. I've heard some people say they can't even get this. This is a masterpiece. I mean, one of the best. What's his name? Brian De Palma. My father is friends with Craig Wasson, who is the lead actor in this, and knows him and spent a lot of time with my dad, Craig Wasson, which he doesn't act anymore. He actually made some really smart investments to where he really rarely acts anymore. He really doesn't need the money, so sadly you don't see him in the movies anymore. Scarface, I had to get this all remastered. It sounds and looks so good. Now this is a rare one where I also missed this at the theater at the time, and I saw this like on HBO, within the first year it came out on cable, and man, I was just blown away. I couldn't believe it. Dark Angel, this is a wonderful film. I think I saw this, it was called something else. When I saw it, it wasn't called Dark Angel. It was called, I can't remember the name of it. It'll come to me, but this is a movie, it initially is at the theater under a different name, but it's a wonderful Dolph Lundgren film, one of my favorites. He drives a really cool SS Monte Carlo that was new at the time. Really cool practical special effects. I love this film. I love science fiction movies, and that's one of my favorites. Casino, what can I say? A masterpiece. So good. I love this. I saw this at the theater. A wonderful movie. I love, what's his name? Martin Scorsese's films. It's just, he's like the Hitchcock, modern day Hitchcock. Wonderful, mesmerizing films. LA Confidential, kind of like the LA Noir story. Wonderful film. What can I say? Goodfellas, fantastic. God, I saw this at least 4 or 5 times in the theater. So good. Ray Liotta to this day is just one of my favorites because of that movie. This is a good movie, or a documentary, World War II in HD from the History Channel, and it's all color, World War II footage, rare footage in color. Very unusual, very intense, really well done. We'll get into some more action films here. The Last Stand, surprisingly good. I really liked it. Good car chases and all that. Arnie again, wonderful. Well, again, this is one of like the last of the newer films that I like. Not many, very few of them that do it for me anymore. Here's an old double action feature, Crazy Mary and Dirty Larry and Race with the Devil. 2 of my favorite Peter Fonda films. These are really good, like grindhouse kind of movies. There were B movies back at the time, but I grew up on this shit. And to me, this is what got me into cars and car chase movies. It was wonderful action like this, great stuff. The Drive movies. Some people get it, some don't. What's this guy, this director's name? I love this guy. What is it? It's, Nicholas Winding Refn or something his name is. He's from Holland. He also did Only God Forgives, which is kind of a spiritual successor to this. Really well done. I love this film. The music, I even have the soundtrack to it. A fantastic film, wonderful visuals, great powerhouse performances, really good. Bullet, Steve McQueen. I had to have it. It's a wonderful Peter Yates movie. American Graffiti. This is actually really good. This actually has one of the best commentaries I've seen. Not only does it have an audio track commentary over the movie, but it has a little inset showing George Lucas sitting in the theater, remembering back and talking in the documentary. So not only can you hear it, but you can actually see him as he's watching the film and describing the scenes. Very cool, very cool. I love George Lucas to death. He's one of my biggest inspirations growing up because of Star Wars and because of movies like this. Fantastic. Grand Prix, James Garner's in this. This is a wonderful, beautifully done John Frankenheimer film about Grand Prix drivers in the late 60s, mid-60s. Fantastic. Wonderful early road racing footage. So cool. That Rush movie, this is another newer film which really surprised me. Kind of the rivalry between the Ferrari team and I don't know if it was McLaren, I can't remember, but two major, giants in Formula One battling it out on and off the track. Very cool. Great movie. I think it's a Ron Howard film. Yeah, it is. Ron Howard did it. Le Mans with Steve McQueen. A fantastic 24 hours of Le Mans. Steve McQueen actually came in third in the race. The guy had some serious stones on him, and it shows in this movie. A wonderful film. Okay, now I've got some Burt Reynolds movies. When he died recently, I went on a binge and tried to get as many of the films on Blu-ray as I could, and the other ones that I couldn't I got on DVD. But I got Hooper. I saw this at least 4 or 5 times at the theater. The day it came out, I rode my little BMX bike down to the theater, chained it up behind a dumpster, and man, I was in for a show. I love Burt Reynolds. I'm so sad that he's gone. Deliverance, I didn't see this at the theater. My dad wouldn't let me see movies like that back then, but I did see it years later on TV and then eventually on VHS at a rental store, and on and on. Wonderful performances. It's a wonderful John Boorman film. Beautifully done looks great on Blu-ray, great sound, great visuals, really intense. Smoking the Bandit, I saw this at least 5 or 6 times. Every week I kept going back. 1977 was a great year for movies. And that's really when I first started seeing movies, was in 77. That's where I was old enough to kind of see them on my own, and man, I saw everything in sight. This was a big one for me. Cannonball Run, again, opening day, went back and saw it again and again. I don't like the other ones. I think I have them on VHS, but I like the first one the best. It's really good, Cannonball Run. The second one I might get, we'll see. A wonderful film. Corny and kind of cheesy, but still fun. This is a wonderful Burt Reynolds movie, Sharky's Machine. I think he directed this, I'm not sure, but a fantastic drama. He really does a good job acting in it. Very likable, very believable. My wife and I saw this recently after he died. Really good. Malone. This is kind of one of his last good movies that he did. Kind of he's up in Oregon or somewhere. There's this white supremacist thing going on in this town, and he gets behind the scenes. He's like an ex-CIA guy that's retired. He can't leave it alone. It's a really good, great fights and really good showdown in this. White Lightning, one of my favorite Burt Reynolds movies. Really good driving, great stunts. Burt Reynolds did a lot of his own stunts. His follow-up movie, Gator, fantastic. Both of these and the commentaries and behind-the-scenes stuff is so good on these both. Mel Gibson's Payback. This is the director's version where they redid the music and it has a kind of a really downer ending on it. I have yet to see this, actually. This is one I've been wanting to see. I'll have to watch it. I've only seen the original theatrical version, but I've been saving this. I'm going to be watching this soon. This is one that I just upgraded not long ago. This is special. I got it like a Walmart for like $5 or $6. 28 days later and 28 weeks later. Again, both of these I saw at the theater repeatedly. Wonderful movies. This is the last of when you really got good movies at the theater. This is kind of the end of when I stopped going to the theaters. Movies just suck now. Copland. Wow. This is a great performances. Such a good Stallone performance. Ray Liotta. Everyone in this is so damn good. De Niro, Harvey Keitel, Stallone. A lot of other good actors. I can't recommend this enough. Big Trouble in Little China. I've yet to watch this actually on Blu-ray, but I had the special box set or 2-disc version of it on DVD for many years. I saw this at the theater right away. Anything with John Carpenter, I'd see at the theater. What's this one? Here's a kind of a really good dual pack, Angel Heart and Johnny Handsome. Now, I have watched the Johnny Handsome a couple months ago. I've yet to watch the Angel Heart again. Both of these I saw a couple times in the theater. Wonderful films with Robert De Niro. Back when he made really good movies before he turned into an old lady. so sad to see such a macho guy just, you know, really turn out these terrible movies because he needs the money. It's just so sad. Heat was the last good movie he did, I think. La La Land, and my wife loves this, and I surprisingly like it too. I'm not real big on musicals, but because I lived in LA and I know that whole scene very well, a lot of people that were just struggling actors and screenwriters that I knew and met there, it reminds me of my time living in LA. I love this movie for that reason. Escape from New York, what can I say? I've got a special DVD box set thing of this as well. This is great, lots of behind-the-scenes action, including the beginning intro thing they cut out, where he rips off the Federal Reserve, whatever it was, the bank or whatever. It really shows a really cool heist in the beginning, which they cut out. Escape from LA. Both of these I've seen multiple times at the theater. This is pretty cheesy, but I still like it. It's a lot of good scenes in it, naturally. I'm a big fan of John Carpenter. I've got The Thing, naturally. I bought this so many times. And I got the prequel to it, just too, which is not bad. It's okay. Again, it's something that's not great, but I watched it. I said, you know, I'll watch that again. So I bought it. Again, my prerequisite, if it's a film that I like enough to watch more than once, I'll have it in my collection, whether it's DVD or Blu-ray. Heavy Metal, this is great. I'd like to get the follow-up to it, Heavy Metal 2000. This, again, I saw at the theater. I think I saw it at a drive-in theater late at night, doubled up with something else, like Damnation Alley, or I can't remember what it was. Another movie, great movie I saw with it. Wonderful. Great music, wonderful animation from a variety of artists, just like the comic book itself. Fantastic. The Split movie, not bad. My friend recommended this. I'm glad I took a chance on it. That director, that Indian guy, that Night, what's his name? Night Shyamalan or whatever his name is. Great. I love the guy. A lot of people bag on his movies, but I've seen every one of his films. I really love this one. It's very unusual. I think they're making a sequel to it right now. The movie The Car, fantastic. I didn't see this at the theater, sadly, but I've seen it so many times. George Barris, who I met, who built The Car, actually gave me 3x10 glossies of the movie from The Car and told me how he built it for an hour. I had a wonderful exchange with him. One of my favorite, to me, this is a good horror film. This is my kind of horror movie. The Shining, another horror movie I love. Fantastic. Another Kubrick masterpiece. So good. This I saw at the theater. This on a big screen. You have to see this on a big screen. It's just mesmerizing. That's all I can say. So many of these movies, I'm so thrilled I got to see them on a big screen. Survival of the Dead. Now this is one of the only, I have all of these on DVD, all of the George Romero films. This is one of the few I have on Blu-ray. And eventually I'm going to be upgrading all of those, Day of the Dead and Dawn of the Dead, to DVD, but for right now, I mean to Blu-ray, but for right now at least I got them on DVD. But this is one I do have. It's an interesting film. Not bad. It's different. The last two films he did in the series are kind of strange, but kind of more documentary, shaky camera film style, but interesting. The Road, wow, what a great movie. Really intense. Kind of reminds you of The Last of Us, I suppose. The Book of Eli, another one. I love this. My wife got me this for my birthday a couple years ago. This is so good. This I missed at the theater, but it was really good. We rented this. I said, oh yeah, I'm going to watch that one again and again. E.T., I just got this last year. This is good. This actually has the one before they politically correctly edited out the machine guns in the FBI's hands, so you can see both versions of it, at least, thank God. I love E.T. I saw it so many times. In fact, I'm planning a trip to LA. I want to go to the Simi Valley and film the Poltergeist house and the E.T. home. They're both in the same development, and I know where they are. I want to make a little video on that. It'd be really cool. Coma. This I saw at the theater. Wow, this is a great movie. Michael Douglas. This to me is a thriller. Really good thriller. Very well done. Rise of the Planet of the Apes. This is the first one in the series. Now the other ones I got the 3D Blu-rays of the other ones. Wow, this is one of the few times where they take an old classic and redid it, and it's as good, if not better, than the originals. Very impressive. A great series. Many of you like it as well. Star Trek, I like the first one, and I have the other ones, Into Darkness and Star Trek Beyond. Those I've got in the 3D versions of Blu-ray. It's a good series. The last one is very disappointing to me. God, I just keep fucking it up. You got to keep politics and everything out of it and just make it more neutral. But other than that, I enjoyed them overall. Fury Road, now I have in 3D, which I'll show. I got the Mad Max, Fury Road in the 3D. Comes with a regular Blu-ray and the 3D Blu-ray and a DVD. and then I got the black and chrome so I could see it in black and white. And it's interesting. I can see that it would look good. If you had seen it first in black and white, it would be impressive. But once you've seen it in color and then you see it in black and white, you miss the color, the vibrant, oversaturated color. The Mad Max trilogy, I had to have this. And I also bought the special Shout Factory of the remastered Mad Max, which looks even better with all the behind-the-scenes stuff and Mel Gibson interviews. Wonderful. I love Mad Max and the Road Warrior. One of my favorite top 10 movies of all time. Fantastic. We just saw this the other night when my dad was here. Rear Window. It's the only Hitchcock film I have on Blu-ray. All the other ones I have in VHS, most of them on DVD. Wonderful. 1954. So good. This is an absolute masterpiece. You've got to see this. This is back when movies were just absolutely perfect. They don't make anything even close to this. It's disgraceful what they call movies today. It really is. Need for Speed. This is a good example. Not to go from a masterpiece to where it's kind of a turd, but it's still cool. I like anything with cars in it. It's actually good. It's got that Paul guy, Paul whatever his name is, Aaron Paul. He's very likable in it. It's got some great car stunts and stuff, so I had to have it. Vanishing Point, what can I say? One of my top 10 movies of all time. So fucking good. I love this. I had 270 Challengers because of this movie. And that's why I have the Challenger sitting out in my garage, because of this film. Duel. This is rare. This is actually in widescreen. It's like a 1.66 ratio. It's the first time I've ever seen it available in widescreen. It's rare. This was kind of a made-for-TV film, but they did film it in kind of a slight anamorphic widescreen, and you can see it only in Blu-ray. You can see it in widescreen. Very cool. Two-lane blacktop. This is a Criterion edition on a couple discs. This is a masterpiece. This is a beautiful piece of Americana. This is what I grew up with. You want to see my childhood of road racing and street racing and stuff? This is what it was all about. This film was like the template for my childhood growing up. Night Riders. Now this I haven't seen yet. I bought this last year, or maybe earlier this year, but I haven't watched it yet, from George Romero. I have been dying to see this. I'm shocked they finally have it available on Blu-ray. I'm dying to see this. I have seen clips from it. I just have never seen the whole thing. Fast 5, this is the only Blu-ray I think that I have of the Fast and Furious movies. I had a bunch of them on DVD and I traded them in because I'm going to buy the box set of all of these, just because it's a car-related thing. And that's it. They're not the greatest films. I like the first one really the best. The first 2 or 3 are okay, and they kind of go downhill and get really bizarre after that. Convoy, wow. This is a great film, kind of a Sam Peckinpah, really violent action film, really cool. Sam Peckinpah was coked out of his head and drunk off his ass every day filming this, and had a major battle with the producers. Really good behind-the-scenes stuff on what went on behind the scenes making this. Wow, really cool story. It's a mad, 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 mad world. This, I think my parents took me to see this in the 60s when I was a kid. I think we saw it at the theater. I've seen it so many times. It's an absolute masterpiece. It's one of the few comedies I really love. It's so well done. So many masterful comedians in that movie. This one is my wife's thing is in here. I've yet to see it. Phantom of the Opera. This is hers, but I keep it with the other Blu-rays. I'm anxious actually to watch it. It looks like a good film. I certainly love the story from the old black and white one. Now this they had a 4-pack at Costco. I got all 4 of these really cheap, like for $10. These are all Woody Allen movies. Hannah and Her Sisters, a great drama. I saw this repeatedly at the theater. Sleeper, a wonderful early Woody Allen movie. So good, so prophetic, and kind of an early sci-fi film. Annie Hall is an absolute masterpiece, and so is Manhattan. These are 2 of my favorite dramas of all time. I love Woody Allen. The guy's a fucking genius. He's very witty. He captures neurotic people well, which I'm one of. I've kind of emulated a lot of my comedy after the Marx Brothers and Woody Allen, so I have that same kind of twisted sense of humor. Argo, this is quite good. Ben Affleck did this. He's in Iran, or maybe it's Iraq, or somewhere in the Middle East, and he's real dangerous stuff, but very well done, very intense, surprisingly good. I was really impressed with that. This I'm going to be taking down over to my mother-in-law as A Christmas Story on Blu-ray. Wow, what a wonderful, this is kind of the childhood that I had. This is more of my dad's childhood, really, but it's kind of the Christmas growing up in Maine with the snow and the older homes and stuff. That's what it reminds me of. Such a wonderful film. Movie Chef. I love this. My wife bought me this for my birthday a couple years ago. So good. John Favreau, I think his name is, or what is it? He's such a great actor. Yeah, John Favreau, or whatever his name is. Wonderful. He was in Swingers, and he's kind of ballooned up, but a fantastic story. This is so touching. Wonderful drama, some good comedic elements in it. Really well done. Tequila Sunrise. Wow, this defines my. I lived down in Hermosa Beach and Redondo Beach, where this was all filmed at the time, and this reminds me of what it was like to live in the '80s down in Manhattan Beach and that whole area. A masterpiece. This is so fucking good. I love the story. Kurt Russell, Mel Gibson and Michelle Pfeiffer, kind of a love triangle between the three. A masterpiece. You got to see these movies. They just don't make movies like this anymore. They don't. The Big Chill. Wow. This is incredible. What was the guy's name again that did this? Lawrence Kasdan. Yeah, Lawrence Kasdan did this. This is one of the greatest dramas you'll ever see. And you just don't see this kind of writing and character development in movies at all anymore. It's lost. It's the last of the good movies, man. That's why I collect these, because of movies like that, because it takes you back to a time where this country was great. It was a great place to be. It was so good. The Long Goodbye, Elliot Gould. Wow. Even has an early Arnold Schwarzenegger in this, one of his earliest roles. Elliot Gould is a genius. He plays a very strange kind of a, what's the word? Kind of a Bogart detective movie. They took the Sam Spade character, or whatever it is, Malone, or I forget what they call him. I can't remember. Philip Marlowe, that was it. Philip Marlowe, which he played all the early detective movies with Bogart, and it's kind of a modern take on that. Fantastic, wonderful. This is a must-see movie. So good. Dirty Dancing. This is one my wife has, obviously, in the collection, but I like it too. It's fun. I remember so many of these movies like Flashdance and Dirty Dancing. They were so fun at the time in the 80s. Good old 80s. Great time. A wonderful time to be a young adult in the 80s. I feel sorry for you guys that growing up today, that you missed out on some wonderful times. The 80s and the 90s were good. The 90s were so-so. Near the end of the 90s, things were going downhill, but in the early 90s, it was cool. Black Rain, wow, this was great. I saw this repeatedly at the theater. This is when Ridley Scott made great movies. My God, man. Pull your head out, dude, and go back to making great movies again. I know you can do it. Wonderful film. Wonderful movie. Body Heat, wow, another Lawrence Kasdan masterpiece. In fact, this is what really gave, what's his name? God, my memory is shit right now. William Hurt. William Hurt really got a start with this, and then he went on to and did The Big Chill and many other great movies afterwards. A wonderful film. Fantastic. I have a whole bunch of Lawrence Kasdan movies. Most of them I have on DVD, but I've got a couple on Blu-ray. The guy's a masterpiece, a wonderful writer. Here's the original Point Break. Later I bought there's a 3D version, a remake, which I didn't know. I thought I was getting this in 3D, and I was actually getting a remake, which I didn't even know they have. But I love the original Point Break. It's so cool. Descendants. Wow, this is a great film. This is where I really want to go to Hawaii after seeing this. George Clooney did a wonderful job in this. It's a wonderful, touching story, beautifully done. Just a great film. The music, everything in this is so good. Beverly Hills Cop. I'd like to get Beverly Hills Cop 2 and 3 as well, but at least I got the first one. Man, I saw this so many times at the theater. It's so good. I used to have the Eddie Murphy record albums of Raw and all of his Delirious and all of his albums back at the time, and I'd play them on my record player over and over on a Friday night. My friends over, and we'd just listen, get drink, and listen to Eddie Murphy records. And so naturally, I saw everything he did at the time. Golden Child and Beverly Hills Cop, all of his movies I saw back then. Speed Racer, this is the original TV series. So I've got all 2 or 3 seasons on Blu-ray. They really look good and sound great. I'm just on the last season right now. They're really good. In fact, I need to put those over by my Batman ones. Stand Up Guys. Wow, this is one of the best. De Niro, what's his name? Christopher Walken and Alan Arkin all together. Kind of like old ex-mob guys, and they all get together for one last night out in the town. There's a great scene with a killer SRT Dodge Challenger, Hemi Challenger in this. Very cool. Caligula. I saw this movie 3 times at the theater. Basically, it's a porno. It's a really super high polished AAA porno movie. Really well done about the decadent Roman times. I mean, some of the best orgy scenes you'll ever see. Really intense. This, believe it or not, I have not watched since I bought this. In fact, I haven't seen it in years. I have the old VHS of it still, but it's pretty good. At the theater at the time, it was banned in Boston. I saw it in Portland, Maine, way back then at the theater. South Pacific, I bought this when we came back from Hawaii. Beautiful cinematography, filmed in Kauai, the island of Kauai. Wonderful musical. One of the few musicals I like from Roger and Hammerstein. So good. It's a fantastic film. Against All Odds. Now, this is another masterpiece from the 80s, kind of like Tequila Sunrise. Really shows you LA in the 80s. And it's a good look of what it was like to live and be in the 80s. It's when people were, before the piercings and the tats and all the craziness, when people were just normal, and you had to really stand out with your personality, not with just fashion statements. Great film. You know, great times. The 80s were so good. I'm trying to get more of these kind of 80s movies. Joe Satriani, I have all of his VHS and DVDs. This is one of the only ones that I have on Blu-ray. His live concert, I think in Paris or somewhere. Fantastic. The guy is such a great... I saw him in person. One of the best concerts I've ever seen. Fantastic. Ted, this was a gift from someone. I had never seen this before. I just about spit out my drink when I saw it at the time. It was so funny. It's twisted teddy bears that smokes a bong. It's absolutely hilarious. I love this movie. I think they made a follow-up, which I haven't seen. I'll have to check that. I haven't seen it. The Sting, wow, this is a fantastic film. Maybe I did see this at the theater. I can't remember. Or maybe my dad might have taken me to see this one. This is a great Paul Newman and Robert Redford movie. Man, it's so good. Beautifully done. It's just a great twist in it. Wonderful story. It's just, they just don't make movies like this. This is back when Hollywood made masterpieces you can watch over and over again. This kind of film you can watch once a year. It's that good. Okay, now we're getting into some of my sci-fi deals and stuff. Poltergeist, wow, I saw this repeatedly. Like I said, I want to go to the Poltergeist house. It actually looks very much like it did in the movie and film it, out on the street. It's down in the Simi Valley. Wonderful film. I have Poltergeist 2 and 3 as well. I even like the third one. We just recently watched the second one when I bought this. Really cool. I got to watch the third one again. They Live. I had to get the Shout Factory, kind of a redone version of this. Even has a commentary with Rowdy Piper. Very cool. I love John Carpenter movies. I've got most of them. Prince of Darkness is the only one. I've got it on VHS. I need to upgrade that at least to DVD. Life Force. Wow, this is fantastic. I saw this the day it came out the theater. So fucking good. Really intense. This is the only vampire movie I like, plus the Underground series, or Underworld ones I like with that chick, Kate Beckwith, or whatever her name is. Really good. A great movie. I would highly recommend this. This is a fucking masterpiece. Mesmerizing. I'm not, like I said, not into vampire movies, but that one I like. The Terminator, what can I say? So fucking good. It seems like I have... Oh, I'm thinking of the Predator. I got the Predator in 3D. This is a great movie. I got the Terminator 1, the Terminator 2, Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, which I liked. I mean, they're all good. There's just... They started going downhill after 2, obviously. And actually, I like Terminator Salvation. One of the few people like not just the film, but the game itself. Very cool. So I'm happy to have these. That Terminator Genesis, terrible. I'll never buy that one. It started off good, and then it just got crazy. Very convoluted. You can't even follow the fucking story. It's terrible. I'm hoping this new one's going to be good. I'm almost afraid to see the new one. I already kind of see where that's going, but... We'll see The Fog. Wow, I saw this when it came out the theater. This is a good horror movie. This is my kind of horror movie, The Fog. Fantastic. In fact, I did a video where I went to all of the film locations from the movie The Fog, with the exception of just the church. I went to where the cross is, but the church was in another town altogether. But I filmed all the other locations in the film. Made a little video tour of it on my channel. Very cool. Capricorn 1. This is a masterpiece. One of my favorite Peter Hyams films. He did 2010. He's done a lot of other big movies. Wonderful movie. This is so good. It's basically they staged the moon landing, or I mean our Mars landing, kind of like the moon landing.
and they don't want anyone to know about it. And they're government's trying to cover it up, and then the astronauts are literally running for their life. It's very, very cool. Because if they get loose, they're going to tell the truth, and they don't, God forbid, the government or the country hear that. So the government tries to stop them. Very cool. There were a lot of these type of movies back then. The country had really kind of was in a malaise, kind of a lot of anti-trust and anti-government type movies, and this was one of them back then in the late 70s. Death Race, I love this. The other ones are really cheesy. I might get the second one. I don't know, but I like the first one. The first one's good. Even has my Hemi truck in it. It's very cool. In Time, wow. This is one of the rare few newer sci-fis that I actually like. I was surprised, pleasantly surprised by this. Really interesting science fiction, interesting premise, brilliant. Really, the story is very, very nice. Zombieland, what a fun, great film with Woody Harrelson and this other kid, I forget what his name is. Really well done. I watched it. I've seen this a couple of times. My nephew loves this. Every time he comes, we usually watch this one. Interstellar, I've seen it once. I took a chance and just bought the Blu-ray. It wasn't bad. It was okay. What is this, a Christopher Nolan thing or something? Yeah, Christopher Nolan. Visually, it's well done. It was just kind of empty. I don't know. It's just the same thing with that Dunkirk movie. It's like beautifully done cinematography-wise, but just something, there's like an emptiness to them. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. Total Recall. I hate the new one. In fact, the new one, I took a chance and bought it, got halfway into it, pulled it out, and immediately traded it back in. I couldn't even get through. It was so bad. But this was good. Man, I saw this so many times at the theater, at least 4 or 5 times. Such a great movie. Wonderful commentary. Anything with oh, what's his name? This director is so good. That Paul Verhoeven makes these really violent, exploitive films like, Starship Troopers and stuff. Very cool. Outland. This is a kind of a Western in space with Sean Connery. Fantastic film. I saw this at least 3 times at the theater. So well done. This is also by Peter Hyams, who did Capricorn 1 in 2010. Very cool. RoboCop, another Paul Verhoeven movie. This is the director's cut with even more over-the-top violence. It was cut out so they could get an R rating. I've yet to watch this version of it. I've been dying to see it. I did sit and watch all the behind-the-scenes stuff. I just haven't actually watched through the film itself yet, but very cool. Damnation Alley. Wow, I think I saw this at a drive-in theater a million years ago. I really like this, and it really looks good. Remastered on Blu-ray. It's a fantastic, the premise is so good. You could make a great video game based off from this. I love this. In fact, for years, they had this parked off the Hollywood freeway. There's Dean Jeffries that did this at his studios. You could drive on the past Hollywood freeway every year and see this thing parked next to the freeway as you drive by in a parking lot. I used to get the biggest kick out of seeing that thing. Logan's Run, I saw it. My dad took me to see this the day it came out, the first night. Wow, what a wonderful movie, beautifully done, great performances. Farrah Fawcett even has a brief role in it. Really good, fantastic. Soylent Green, I love all of these Charlton Heston. He ends up dying, becomes a martyr literally in every single one of those old science fiction movies. But so fucking good. I love Soylent Green. It's an absolute masterpiece. MGM made so many wonderful quality movies and sci-fis back then. What happened to these studios? Westworld, when the new TV show came out, I bought this, and I got Future World, which is not near as good, but it's still interesting. Kind of a sequel to it. Very good. I'd highly recommend the first Westworld. Fantastic. Kind of like the Terminator before the Terminator. 2001, fantastic. Stanley Kubrick, and then of course I've got the Peter Hyams 2010 follow-up. 2001, I did not see at the theater, sadly. My parents didn't take me to see that, but I saw it years later, but I did see the 2010 repeatedly. Wonderful movies, beautifully done. Great special effects, good sci-fis. Ghostbusters 1 and 2, I think I got that a year or so ago. I had to get that, so good. I've seen the first one. I need to see the second Ghostbusters again. Both of those movies I saw repeatedly at the theater. They're so good, so damn good. The Underworld, I bought this for my wife. She loves this series, and I like it too. I like the first 2. I haven't seen 3 and 4, but I have them all, and I would like to sit through the other ones. The Blade Runner. This is a special 25th or 30th? 30th, anniversary collector's edition on Blu-ray. Again, it's one of those, it's kind of a digibook thing. It was kind of a fad for a while. He made these digibooks. So he had like a book with some pictures and pages in it. This has the final cut. It has all the different versions of the film. Beautiful special effects. This looks so good in my TV. I bought my TV to watch movies like this. That's why I got a $4,000, high-end Samsung TV just to watch quality movies like this. I mean, yeah, it might look better in the Ultra HD and 4K, but it looks so good like this. I don't even feel like I'm missing anything. I mean, your eye can only tell the difference so much between 1080p. Again, if I had a giant 80-inch TV, then maybe it would warrant it. But for a 55-inch TV, 1080p is just fine. Just fine. I don't feel like I'm missing a thing. Planet of the Apes, here's the original box set. I bought this on VHS, I bought it in DVD, and now I've got it on Blu-ray. And again, this is my point. I don't want to buy it again in 4K, just to say, oh wow, I got 4K. I'm not one of those elitists. I don't need to have everything in 4K and the most expensive European Blu-ray versions where they're supposedly slightly better than the Shout Factory. I don't care about that stuff. I just want the movies. I just want to sit and just relive my childhood and enjoy these old movies, and that's why I collect them. I'm happy to see them on DVD. If I can get them on Blu-ray, that's even better. My sister got me this years ago for my birthday, the Alien Anthology. Now this is a UK version, but it plays just fine on a North American Blu-ray player. You gotta get this. This is a must-have. I worked at the studios when we reshot the ending of Alien 3 for 20th Century Fox when I was working as a subcontractor for 20th Century Fox. I got to actually go in and see the sets where they reshot the end of it. Very cool. I'll never forget that. Star Wars, I've got both. Now, you could have bought the one thing. Initially, I only had the first ones, the New Hope. To me, it's the first one. I don't like calling them 4 and 5, and I don't like the way the numbers are all fucked up. In fact, my friend Cameron got confused, and he felt that he had to see them. Well, I got to watch the episode 1. He's very logical that way, where actually he should have seen this first and then gone back and then watched the prequels. But, what are you going to do? It doesn't really matter. This is one of my favorite series of all time. I wasn't thrilled with the prequels like a lot of people, but I didn't dislike them. I just didn't think they were near as good. I just wanted to see more of this. I want to see Luke and what happened to him after Return of the Jedi. Instead, they kind of went back in time. But I'm glad, in retrospect, I'm glad they made them. And I don't find fault with them like everyone else. It's become fashionable to hate them. When they first came out, everyone loved them. Very few people picked them apart. It became fashionable to rip them to shreds. And poor George Lucas, he finally said, you know what, fuck it, and walked away from the series because of all the negativity and the whiners. So that's why I will never watch The Force Awakens or any of these new Star Wars, the Disney ones, that don't have George Lucas in them, because it's George Lucas's story. It's out of his head, not random writers in the universe. It's George Lucas's story. Only he can tell it. I'm not interested in seeing someone else's perverted view of the series after the fact in the expanded universe. I just have no interest. I love these. To me, they have a beginning and an end. 6 chapters, done. I'm not interested in seeing anything else. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Wow. What a great, fantastic movie. I did see this at the theater when it came out a couple times with my parents. So good. This version of it, with hours of behind-the-scenes stuff, is just worth every penny. That's why I like collecting Blu-rays for stuff like this. And of course, I got all the Star Trek movies, the ones that had William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy and the original cast. I love these. This is a wonderful investment. I got these used for $20 or something, dirt cheap, worth every penny. I saw every single one of these at the theater multiple times. So good. And then the final one of regular Blu-rays, which I just got recently, is Starship Troopers Trilogy. This again is out of print. You can't even get this anymore. I got a used copy, and I had to wait and put it on a locator. One of them eventually came in. Dean, we got your Starship Troopers Trilogy. Oh, thank God. I've only seen the first one recently. I have watched some of the behind-the-scenes stuff on 2 and 3, but I haven't seen 2 and 3 yet. Very anxious to see this. I love this series so much. I did watch the first one. My God, I hadn't seen it in so many years. I had forgotten half of the movie. It was really good. Really enjoyed it. And then to wrap things up, I've got these are all of my 3D Blu-rays, which I've got quite a few of. Well, first of all, I got the Predator. So I got the Predator. These were the first movies that I bought. Now, I got rid of the original one I had, but I had the very first Predator. I traded in when I got this. I got Predator in 3D. They remastered this in 3D. Man, it looks good in 3D. I've got Predator 2 with Danny Glover. These were the first Blu-rays that I bought with Predator 1, 2, and 3, and Predators. And then this I just got, or I got it yesterday. Actually, I started filming this yesterday, and something came up, and I couldn't film this yesterday, so I'm filming it on a Tuesday. This is Wednesday today. I'm filming it on a Wednesday. I filmed it when I went to pick this up. It was on a Tuesday. This is a great movie, which I'm anxious to see again. It's some things about it I don't like a lot of other people. But overall, I'm looking forward to seeing this. I already have watched last night all the behind-the-scenes stuff. Really cool, very cool. I'm anxious to see it again. So this is not in 3D, but this is the first Predator. I got this movie Everest, which is really good. Kind of, I don't know, is this a documentary? Well, it's based on a true story. It's a film, really well done, but in 3D, it's really intense. You really feel like you're up high. I mean, it's intense in 3D. Godzilla 3D, wow. This is a wonderful 3D movie. I don't know why people don't like the 3D films. I don't get it. They're just, at first I was really against it because I saw the old Creature from the Black Lagoon with the 3D glasses 1,000 years ago. I saw Jaws 3D. Terrible, terrible movie. I have it, but not a 3D version yet. Now you can get that in 3D. Eventually I will get that in 3D. And because of those old cheesy movies where they had the little paper glasses with the red and green lens or whatever, I was one of these, I came out with the big fat, all the 3D movies and 3D TVs. I'm like, oh brother, give me a break. But once I actually saw it on the TV, I did a demo of the TV in 3D, my mouth was hanging open with the active Samsung 3D glasses. I'm like, wow. I mean, it's like virtual reality to me. It's incredible. Wonderful 3D movie. King Kong Skull Island 3D. Wow. Very impressive. I mean, the 3D just takes it up several notches. It's so good. Prometheus in 3D, very impressive. Very impressive. This is a very cool movie in 3D. This is a fantastic movie. I know I saw initially the 2D Blu-ray. It comes with a 2D Blu-ray, and then a couple weeks later I saw the 3D one. Man. My dad hasn't seen this yet. I want to watch this with him. Of course, he only has one eye, lost one eye, so sadly he can't see the 3D version, but I'm going to show him the 2D version. This surprisingly is a good example of a sequel made today, which I was expecting to hate, didn't think it was going to be good. Highly impressive. Masterful sequel. It fits like a glove with the first one. People naturally feel, oh, that, you know, they like to look down and rip it all apart. I think it's a great movie. This guy, Dennis, whatever his name is, the director, Villeneuve, whatever his name is, did a great job on this. Very impressive. Point Break in 3D. I thought it was the one with Patrick Swayze. It's not, in Keanu Reeves, but it's still pretty good. I enjoyed it. It was fun. Star Trek Into Darkness 3D. This is impressive in 3D. Really looks good. Star Trek Beyond. I pulled it out. I got about halfway through it. I couldn't watch it anymore. I need to put it in, at least finish it. It is Star Trek. I do like the fact they brought back the original characters and everything. I don't care for the gay relationships. They got to put all the social, you know, justice warrior crap in the new ones. It's so sad. You can't just leave them apolitical. But it's still good. I still enjoy it. I need to finish watching, at least finish it out. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes in 3D is very impressive. And this War of the Planet of the Apes. Now this I've only seen in the 2D version because my wife at the time, she didn't have her glasses or something. She was, oh, can we watch the 2D version? So I've yet to go and watch the 3D version of this, but if it's anything like this, I'm going to be blown away. The 3D just makes these movies superb. Dread. Now this is a fucking great 3D movie. It's a great movie in 2D. It's even better in 3D. It's really trippy in 3D. It's very impressive. On my TV, it's like, it makes the purchase of an expensive TV like that, like, you know what, I'm glad it's worth every penny for movies like this. San Andreas, this was kind of a cheesy film, but fun. It looks really good in 3D. I like the special effects in it. It is what it is. It's kind of a shitty, cheesy action film, but good special effects. I like these big disaster kind of movies like Earthquake and The Towering Inferno, stuff like that, so it's fun. This is one of the best, most impressive 3D movies I've ever seen. It's even better. You can see side-by-side comparisons between the original print and the remastered version. It's like way better. Very impressive. This is He actually redid, I mean, the entire frame by frame, the entire movie to fit it to 3D. In fact, Avatar, I've heard, is just as impressive. That's on my list to get in 3D as well, which I'm dying to get. And then I also have Jurassic Park in 3D, and I've got Jurassic World in 3D. The other ones I have on DVD, which I'm going to buy on Blu-ray. I just haven't got them yet. And there's a new one too. I don't know if it's in 3D or not. We just saw it on Netflix recently, whatever the new Fallen World is, whatever the new one is. And the final movie, my favorite of all of them, the best film I've seen in the last 20 years, Mad Max Fury Road in 3D, is absolutely mesmerizing, a mind-blowing film. This is worth $4,000 for a 3D TV just to watch this one movie. It looks so fucking good in 3D. And it was the first 3D movie. I'd never seen a 3D movie till I saw it at the theater. We saw the 2D version. We went back a week later to say, I gotta see that movie again. I can't get it out of my head. When they sold out of the 2D ones, my wife goes, well, all I got is a 3D one. We can see that, I guess. And I go, all right, I guess so. You know, what they say, man, I was like, wow, this is what the 3D thing's all about. I'd never been to a 3D movie since Jaws 3D back in fucking 1979 or something, or 8 or whatever it was. So ever since, I went out and I raced out to get a 3D TV and to buy every 3D movie I can because they're that impressive. So anyway, that's my 3D collection video. A year or so from now, it'll probably be a hell of a lot bigger, but I thought this would be a good place to stop and kind of show everything that I've got. Thank you so much for watching. Put in the comments any of those movies that you think are in your top 10 favorites that you would like to see, or you have any questions about any of these movies. Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and enjoy your movies and your games. Take it easy. Merry Christmas.